Story for you guys. It's not really, well, I guess it is a creepypasta, but it's one of the stories I actually worked on for a book, one of the audiobooks that I've done for G.R. Wilson. The book's called Right Behind You, Tales of the Spooky and Strange. And I actually really love this story because it goes back to campfire stories. And since you guys are all sitting on the floor campfire style, I figured that this is one of the best stories to be able to do. In 1880s Georgia, there lived a wealthy young woman in a grand plantation house. Now, the woman's name was Annabel Walters, and she inherited her fortune from her father, who made his money in cotton farming. Now, her father had been cruel to his slaves, but tender to his wife and daughter. And in 1864, baby Annabel almost died in a fire set by William Sherman's soldiers. Her mother saved her from death, but could not save her left arm, which was so badly burned that it had to be amputated. The rest of Annabel's body and her beautiful face remained unscathed, but her father wanted the replacement for her arm to be as beautiful and perfect as the rest of her. So, when Annabel was a teenager, her father had an arm cast out of solid gold, and everyone marveled at how shiny, yet how lifelike Annabel's new arm was, even if it was cold and artificial. Annabel's mother died of fever not long after the casting of the golden arm, and a few years after that, her father died in a steamboat explosion. And so, young, lovely Annabel Walters lived by herself in her family's old mansion, with only an old dog named Ranger to keep her company. Of course, many bachelors wanted to marry Miss Walters for her wealth. They talked of love and affection, but Annabel was no fool, and turned down many a scheming suitor. George was different. Now, his family didn't come from wealth. He had been a self-made rancher out west, but most importantly, he truly loved Annabel for who she was and not for her money. The two wed and shared several happy years. Then, one dreary October, Annabel fell sick with the same fever that killed her mother. The doctors, the best and most expensive doctors in the country, did all they could, but could not save her. And by mid-November, lovely Annabel lay on her deathbed, her beloved George beside her in the final hours. George, darling, before I pass, I have one last request to impart upon you, she said. Yes, my love, anything, what is it? He replied. My arm. My golden arm. It is my most precious possession, more important to me than this house or any of my jewelry. Please, bury me in the ground with my golden arm, said Annabel. Yes, Annabel, if that's what you desire, I shall, said George. Promise me, George. It is my final will upon this earth, she said. Now, George gulped before replying. I promise. I promise to bury you with your golden arm, darling. Annabel fell silent and was dead within a few minutes. George and a few of Annabel's cousins were the only ones to attend her funeral, and she was buried in the Walters family cemetery down the road from the mansion. In accordance with his wife's last wish, George buried Annabel with her golden arm. Well, the night following the burial, George was sitting in front of the fireplace, Ranger, the dog, asleep at his side. He thought about his future, thought about his love life, his living arrangements. But then he thought about his financial situation. Neither him nor, of course, Annabel had worked a day during their whole marriage. The Walter family fortune had paid for all that they wanted. But that money, between the doctor's fees and Annabel's lavish headstone, was nearly gone. George had become lazy and accustomed to the wealthy life. And Then he came to a realization. There was another source of wealth. He remembered the golden arm. Now that arm was made of solid gold. It must be worth a small fortune itself, he thought. But it was already buried with its owner, as per her final will. But wouldn't Annabel want him to be happy and not destitute? And hadn't she been a bit delirious towards the end, with that fever thrashing about her brain? Surely, George thought, the poor woman wasn't even thinking straight towards the end, and now she was dead, and could not care whether she was buried with a golden arm or not. George made a decision. He put on his cloak, for the air was chilled that November night, and he brought a lantern, for the sky and the road were as dark as a cave. He creaked open the door of the tool shed and grabbed a shovel, the strongest looking one that he could find, for we would house 6 feet down to dig through cold, hard ground. The sky was filled with clouds. No moon nor stars greeted George on his solitary march to Annabel's grave. The wind whispered through the grass, and the naked branches like the voices of creatures at best unseen. George hugged his cloak tight around him and held his lantern high. Within his tiny circle of yellow light, shadows danced like madmen, and George felt his heart quicken as he approached the cemetery. George found the right headstone and plunged his shovel into the hard earth. The work got harder with each shovelful of dirt, but George worked faster as the wind picked up, and he shivered thinking of the fire back inside. Sooner than George expected, the shovel thunk against wood. George cleared away the final layer of soil and opened the coffin. There lay Annabel, as fair and as beautiful as in the prime of her life. Clasped across her chest, her golden arm shimmered in the lantern light. Pushing aside flimsy thoughts of betrayal and robbery, George snatched the arm and slammed the coffin shut. The arm was cold as ice, and George set it beside him as he shoveled the dirt back on top of his wife. Then he scooped up his treasure and began the long walk back to the house. The wind grew stronger and stronger as he walked, gusting against his cloak and making the lantern sway in his hand. The wind whistled, and George thought that he heard a voice carried high and faint across the fields. He froze, eyes wide, glanced to one side and then the other. He saw no one, but with each step on the frosty ground, the wind's voice grew more distinct. Who's got my golden arm? George hurried his walk, for the words followed, louder and louder. Who's got my golden arm? The terrified man at last reached the mansion's door, which he flung open, slammed, and locked behind him. He ran to the parlor where Ranger's ears perked up and the friendly hound dog greeted its master. The fire was down to embers, but even that small heat felt wonderful as George dropped his shovel and sat down. But then he heard that ghastly voice again. Who's got my golden arm? George couldn't place the sound source. It seemed to come from the chimney, the windows, the door, all at once. He clutched the heavy golden arm to himself and ran to the window to shut the curtains. But still, the forlorn and angry cry continued. Who's got my golden arm? Ranger barked and growled at the east wall, the one facing the cemetery. The wind made the boards of the house creak and moan, and the windows rattled, and that voice went on louder than ever. Who's got my golden arm? A gust of wind came straight down the chimney and put out the embers, and George ran with that golden arm upstairs, down the hall to his bedroom, and his heart thumping in his chest, his teeth chattering. Ranger's bark boomed and was overpowered by the slam of the front door, being blown off of its hinges, and the wind screamed through the house. Who's got my golden arm? George threw himself onto the bedsheets, clutched that icy, cursed golden arm and its heavy as iron body against his chest. He could feel the wind slam open the bedroom door. Then the wind stopped. And there was silence, followed by slow, shuffling steps and tiny thuds as pieces of frozen dirt fell to the floor. George held his breath and prayed silently as the ghastly footsteps stopped just next to the bed. Who's got my golden arm? You got it! People normally jump like that.
I jumped.
Thought he was gonna throw something at me. I was like, he usually grabs someone during this bit. I'm like, he can't reach me, so what is he gonna do? And for some reason, the only thing that I could rationalize was that he had something in his hand. He's going like, whoa! Smacked him right in the face. He already smacked Junior in the face. Y'all missed it.
I got punched hard.
Yeah, for those of you who are just like joining us now, he punched Junior in the face.
Hard.
Like at the beginning.
Like he was John Cena.
He was sitting next to him at the beginning, like the front of the stage, and he turned with the microphone and just wow, right in the face. It was beautiful. You missed it.